Call to order the August 8th, 2018 Oregon City Library Board at 5 o'clock. In attendance are Ken Hall, Don Wright, Scott Edwards, Larry Osborne, Nick Dierkman, and Jan Wallander, and staff Denise Butcher and Maureen Cole. Welcome, everybody. We're all glad to be here because it's cool in here. Our own personal cooling center. First, let me just check if there were any changes to the agenda. Any additions or corrections? Okay, then we'll move forward. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the July meeting.
I've read the minutes and I move that they be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the July 2018 board meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Moving on to the library director report. We're going to leave a lot of time for the strategic planning
I
discussion.
know, so let's let this go really fast. Because you had received this with enough time to read it probably already. Let me
Yes.
just get to the right pile of papers. So we finally have a contract which was approved by the commissioners and to do the interior work on the shades and the baffling and the dividers between the children's desk and the hello desk. And then also we're gonna get the hello desk surfaced with some darker material, so it's not, the sun that does come in doesn't bounce right off of like a white surface into people's eyes. So we just had these dates approved by City Manager Tony Conkle today, and we will be closed October 8th through the 11th. The first day, October 8th, is our traditional staff training day, and then the second day, October 9th, is our new traditional staff cleaning day, where everybody pitches in and cleans our new building so it stays nice and gets those places that the custodian does not get daily. And so that's the day we'll start having contractors come in. They have promised to be done in 3 days. So we'll see if we have to go a day longer, or it's not the end of the world. That would, that would be okay, but and then, of course, we'll be closed on September 3rd for Labor Day. It's busy, busy, busy at the library. We had about, 200 and something today?
231.
For the, to give you an exact figure.
Yeah.
At the concert, the family concert, we have 2 more concerts to go after this.
One more.
One more, oh, okay. One more to go, and then we'll take a 2-week hiatus from children's programming while all the children's staff catches their breath and,
It's ready for
because,
school.
summer reading is just exhausting for the children's staff. They are so busy. And,
Concerts have been popular, it sounds like.
yeah,
Very.
I think 400 is the highest we've had, and that was for Tyco drummers.
Tyco.
And that was last week, and they were so good. Oh my goodness, they were so good. But they've been very popular. We've had over 100 for every single one.
Wow.
So it's nice because people can, set up in the trees and they can have their picnic and the kids can play in the spray park and they have this great musical experience. And all the people that we are contracting with are really great about having interactive participatory programs that really get the kids up on their feet. Actually, a lot of the adults too. There's a lot of adults who attend these, which is fantastic. So those have been going really, really well. And so our door count is good. It's kind of on par for the summertime and last year. So I think we're kind of starting to see where we land in the summer months, which is right about really that 38 to 40,000 door count, which is, not the same as people, but still it's a pretty good number to know how busy we are. And then I listed out all the programs that we've been doing, and you can kind of get a feel for, what brings people in and what doesn't. And I kind of listed, I thought this month I would note which ones are just kind of regular monthly ones that we see every month. So a lot of times we'll see the same people every month too. For like the genealogy club, you're gonna see a lot of the same people every month come in. And that's not even something that we like have to do anything for. They just do it. You know, they're just kind of in charge. So that's all going really, really well. Cultural passes are doing well. I thought I would break that out for you too, just so you could see what's really popular. And the Oregon Trail is getting plenty of visitors, which is nice, because that's right here in Oregon City. And then Japanese Garden, of course, Nick and my favorite. Yeah. And, circulation is looking really, really good. Even though, everybody thinks the electronic circulation should be higher than it is. Nick and I were having a conversation about this earlier. I personally think it's because libraries, because of the way they're forced to distribute this material, it's just not as easy as at Netflix or Amazon or whatever. It's just not as easy. It's not as seamless. And so therefore, you're gonna get people who are willing to pay a few dollars a month for that ease of access, and that you can count on the item being available as well. Because in our world, it's still a 1-to-1 ratio. You know, one person, one checkout. It's not like we have digital copies all over the place, which is insanity, but, you know, that's the business model that we're stuck with. So it's a software and a business model situation where it's just not ideal, and I think that keeps those numbers limited. That's my theory. Anyway,
But it may also be that, you know, you're there for the folks who can't afford to do the Netflix account or want to pay money to that, so I don't know if that's true or not, but. Sorry, Nick, were you gonna say
No,
something?
I was just gonna say that, I totally agree with what Mo is saying, that it's a convenience thing, and it's, you know, I use Library of Congress for a lot of the books, and they're unlimited. I mean, we can have thousands of people checking out the same book, and, I mean, that's a real convenience, not available to everybody, but, I mean, Audible clearly works the same way. I mean, I think it's too bad that it's not an easy service for people to use, but so be it for now.
yeah, so be it. That's life. And then one thing, I'm constantly like tinkering with these statistics lately, because I want them to be as helpful as possible. So down under the in, out of city, number of people who are checking things out, well, I was like, well, why don't I just divide this and tell you how many items per person these people are doing? And so that's that third number now in that column.
Okay.
So for instance, 2,146 people living inside Oregon City checked out 24,417 items, which is 11.3 items per person if we were to do it that way. Right? So that's how to read that. And it looks like the unincorporated and the other are actually flying higher than the inside the city people but anyway. So this is kind of like what I'm gonna stick with for a format overall, where you've got the current month, the current fiscal year to date, last month, so we don't have to flip back on different pieces of paper to see what we did last month, and then same, this time last year. So I'm gonna kind of be sticking with that for a while, unless you've got some great ideas, and feel free to tell me anytime. The other thing that you can't see on here, sometimes I stick in notes that like remind me, for instance, that the volunteer hours, I didn't have the bookstore hours on this, because sometimes Harriet doesn't get those to me until after I do the statistics. And so I fix it on my copy that I keep, but I mean, she had like 300 and something hours that she gave to me, you know, that they do per month over there. Big numbers. So that changes that. So if it looks radically different, it's not because there weren't any volunteers, it's because she didn't get me a figure until it was too late. And then likewise, on the total receipts, Denise decided to go on vacation, and so we didn't have all of our deposits that we normally do. And so next month will look extra rich. So it just kind of balance itself out.
Quick question.
Yep.
the number of new items that are being added. I know that I guess the foundation donated or provided money to buy some additional, or to try to up that.
Yep.
And where do we stand on that? Have we spent all that money? Or-
No, good, really good question. So, we have spent, so they gave us $50,000 and we have put like half of that towards adult materials, and that part has been spent. But Barrett is kind of slowly going through the children's collection and filling in and stuff, and she's still working on that. So we have not completed the children's portion of that expenditure.
Okay. I guess I was surprised because the number's lower than what it was last year, I think, if I remember correctly.
This time last year.
Yeah, in terms of. So I was.
Could be, and then also, things come in like really erratically.
Okay.
And get added really erratically too. I mean, there's just no rhyme or reason to it really. We're not on any schedule. It's like when orders are ready is when orders are ready. And if they're busy doing programming, then they're not busy ordering, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
and we are gonna ask the foundation for some more money too, for some really specific, but I'll let you know how successful we were after next week's meeting with that. So,
But the in and out on the holes look much better this month.
didn't they look better?
Yeah.
Because that
So I
we're
was
down
trying to
under
logically
5,000.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
I was looking at the other numbers going, well, it's not like we added a bunch of, an extremely
No,
big
it's
amount
true.
or something like that. It was just interesting.
Well, I think I told you guys, Greg up at Network, they're also fussing with that formula of like where books go in the consortium, so that like, if you have a book and maybe it's like one day from like being returned or something, maybe you just wait one extra day or something, but the book that's coming back to your library goes to you or something. I mean, I don't even know what it is, but they're fussing with that formula to make it so that there's less movement of items. Yeah,
Makes sense.
and just make it a little bit more intuitive there. So that might account for some of it, but it's not because we got this like massive quantity of new things. It maybe it's just because people wanted more of what we happen to have,
Let's see if it's a
Yeah.
trend or if it's
It's-
one month.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, it's kind of steadily been decreasing, over time, not every single month, but it's better than it used to be.
I think as you've been building the collection.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
I think that accumulates, yeah. So, that's my report and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
I wouldn't challenge that, no.
Smart man, that's how you got to this age.
Okay.
Okay.
Strategic planning stuff.
Strategic planning. So did you want to start with the goals and objectives first, or did you want to do the stuff that more is mission vision?
More mission vision, I think we need to get that out of the way
Yeah.
first.
That's what I would agree. So just
Yeah.
put that around. So do the revised discussion notes for library board meeting.
Yeah.
first.
Okay.
So this is your thing, so these guidelines but the mission is our thing.
The vision and mission are yours and the guidelines, so.
Yeah,
So the vision is where the discussion from last time about thriving.
thriving spaces. We like it, sorry.
As I said last time, it wasn't my objection, I just thought someone else, my wife pointed out that nobody outside the library is likely to read it, so. Probably true. Truth raises its ugly head.
I know, no, I love it, it's probably so true, I need to meet your wife. I love direct people.
So are we okay with thriving?
Do you need a vote?
I'm happy.
All right.
With my objection, I'm happy.
Okay,
I don't know if we need a vote. Do you want a
Thriving
vote?
it is.
Just
I
kind of
think you need to, approve it, just as
Okay.
we're okay with this kind of thing.
By the numbers? Or there's no numbers here, so.
It would be the
vision?
proposed vision to promote literacy and learning, celebrate curiosity and
That was
diversity,
the
and
only
support.
word that was in question, right?
Yeah, support
Yeah, I move
transformation,
we
thriving.
accept it as written.
Yeah,
Yes.
Perfect,
What was the motion?
move is accept as written.
A second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept the proposed vision as written. That's the red, in the red on your, which is to promote literacy and learning, celebrate curiosity and diversity, and support transformation in thriving, safe, and inclusive spaces. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. So library board approves the
Thank you.
vision. You have a vision.
Yay.
Do we need to do the same for the,
Hopefully lots of vision.
we probably should do the same for the mission, although I think we didn't make any,
Yeah, you guys pretty much,
did the okay,
Did the A-OK
okey-dokey
on that one
the
last
mission.
time.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the guiding principles.
so you had requested that I try to incorporate the thoughts from the plaque into the existing guiding principles. So we attempted to do that by putting like things together and, kind of note where there was, similarities or duplications, or where it was already kind of covered, you know?
I have a suggestion on this topic. We have the plaque, which and I like what is on the plaque, and they really look like core values to me. So one suggestion would be, we don't really have core values that are listed, so that it would be identify those as core values. And then the guiding principle, we have a lot of them. I mean, the list is long, and when I went back and looked at them again today, and the ones that, actually, the exercise that Denise and Mo went through and identified how they connect, I like the ones that had some words that related to what I'm now calling the core values. And the last four, while they're important, but to me, they're almost like the action that's being taken as opposed to really a principle. And so, because I've thought about, after reading through the goals and objectives, those things are really in the goals and objectives, so they're almost like more like action statements or what we would do to support the guiding principles or to support the core values. So that's my suggestion.
So what I hear is
Yeah.
two suggestions. One, to create a category of core values that would be what's on the plaque.
Right.
And then some other suggestions related to guiding principles. So
And-
do you want to take those two? Why don't we start with, do you want to create a category of core values? Does that fit within your
Oh, that's fine.
framework? Kind of,
That's fine. Whatever you guys want is fine with me. I mean, I'm behind these and they do seem like core values. They're very core to the library profession. And they're very clear statements of what we believe in, you know?
Right. Sure.
Well, one thing is that right now we're referring to it as the plaque. That's not very definitive. But core values would give them a name, something that we could relate to. So that's really part of the reason also.
Okay.
I would move that we take the wording of the plaque and make the title of that the core values.
Yes. I'll second that.
Okay. So there's been a motion to move and second to take the wording that's on the plaque and call that and label that our core values. And that would be the one that starts with, this is your library, inspiring discovery, championing the search for truth, on down, and then finishing with, this is your library.
Question for clarification, would you drop this is your library from the start and the end, just to okay.
I mean, I would just call them core
Yeah,
values.
and then it would just be the stuff in between those, yeah, okay,
So the core values would start with inspiring, discovering, and end up with open and safe for all.
right.
So it's
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of dot points. Okay. So people understand that motion?
Sounds good.
Any discussion?
I agree with everything that's on the plaque, so.
Sure.
That's
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of nicer than saying, well, we have a plaque. It's
Yeah,
like,
elevates
we
it.
have core values and we have a
Yeah.
plaque that names the core values, you
Right.
know, sort of like, kind of,
Isn't that handy?
that is handy.
Got the
That is
plaque already
handy.
made.
That's right.
Any other discussion?
Nope.
Yeah.
So are you ready to vote? So the motion was to accept the wording, starting with inspiring discovery down to open and safe for all as the core values for the library. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, passes.
Great.
Thank you. And then your second comments, Nick, were about on the guiding principles. It's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dot points, the first 5 dot points, where they also incorporate some of the other language. That those seem like guiding principles, and you're less clear that the final 4 are guiding principles.
Right, and I think right now, there's a lot there. There's a lot of words in those guiding principles. And this is just from what I've been used to and doing other planning in the past, but 4 or 5 items is usually a good kind of something you could hold up and actually kind of use as your guiding, use it as a tool. And again, some of those I felt were more like operational things that you do to support those values, sort of. And exactly, I mean, when I went back and looked at the goals and objectives, that's where it really kind of highlighted. I mean, the other option would be to take some of the words that are in those last 4 and use them to expand the first 5, but then it even becomes more verbose.
Any comments on that?
I'm looking at and seeing that some of these are telling you how we're doing it, working with the core values. And, it's kind of like the cookbook part of it. So, I mean, I don't have any problem either way. I did have a problem with the term ignite because as an engineer, that means ashes and smoke.
I see.
That's
another
something we
word
want at the
issue.
library.
The only one and I'll ask to the people who were here in the previous iteration, which I think is you, Don. So the one that stands out a little separately is the preserve and celebrate the record of our area's history. And I assume that was trying to get at something that the library is a repository of local history, and we want to acknowledge that. And that's
Right.
slightly different than other parts of the operation. Is that?
Yeah, and we do it kind
Reflection.
of on a very limited basis, though. It's not like we go out and try to, because other agencies do it better than us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not our core mission to do that, but I think that what we acknowledge is that we live in a historical city who's very proud of their history. So like this month, ODOT sent me a slim little thing that they put together about the remodeling of the bridge, for instance. And it included pictures from the original building, and then it went all the way through. And it's like, that's perfect. That's perfect to put in our history collection because it's about something that happened locally. I mean, I think a lot of libraries would keep that stuff, whether they have it separate or not. I mean, we're gonna do that. It's not gonna be like a huge specialty.
So that's the only one that struck me is it a separate guiding principle? I mean, it seemed that it also did guide some decisions around
I
the new
know.
library. And
Kind of
how you
scares
try-
me, honestly.
Yeah.
We don't devote a lot of funds to that. That would require like a whole set of goals and stuff that we don't really, development that we haven't really developed.
One thing that I was thinking about was the points from the past and that focus. I mean, that was one that sort of stood out for me as something that the library does in sponsoring those in terms of history.
Right. But we do it not because we're charged with doing it, but because history's popular here.
Yeah.
And people seem to enjoy that kind of thing. So,
Okay. Well, I'm hearing somewhat general support for dropping the last 4 dot points and just having the guiding principles be the first 5 that have color for those of us that are looking at our screens.
so
Is
just
that-
a
is that
question for,
accurate?
yeah, that's what I'm hearing. A question for clarification. Would you, let's see, I changed a little bit, just a few words. Like I took out and said through quality resources. I think I added that. So would we want it the way it was originally, or we want it the rewritten way? Because it's barely rewritten.
My suggestion or recommendation would be the way you rewrote them.
Okay.
I mean, that's really what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Okay,
instead of
all
making
right.
The original recommendation.
Are we ready for someone to make a motion?
Yeah, I think dropping the last four is something I would move.
Okay, it's been moved, do anybody second?
A second.
Okay, so moved in second to, on the guiding principles, accept the new language as proposed by Mo and Denise, and to.
Yeah, I said that.
I know you said that. I just make up the motion.
That's right.
I'm sure that's
Just fleshing it out.
Yeah. Sorry. And to, the guiding principles would be the first five and dropping the last four. I don't know if I got that sort of right. I added as I did a friendly amendment that you
Yes, friendly
accepted.
amendments are great.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
So we've ignited this process.
Yeah, even though we kept Ignite,
Ashes
we're sorry,
everywhere.
and we kept Ignite.
I'm not, most English words have multiple meanings.
Yes.
Right. I could see your imagining a little fire.
Great, thanks you guys.
So
Great work.
those last four, I think, do kind of still are part of operations and kind of appear in the goals.
So then.
Okay, so then we'll move to goals and objectives, right?
Yep. So we've taken a stab at, so we have 4 service responses that we're sticking with. Create young readers, know your community, visit a comfortable place, stimulate imagination, and then we added a general area I called stabilization, which just kind of like you do what you're doing, only better. You're creating infrastructure and processes to support the future of your organization, kind of. I don't see how you can like not do some of that stuff, and I didn't want it to go without like understanding that some resources have to go towards that, you know? Much of what we do is not sexy, it's not interesting, but it has to be done, you know? So it's gonna take up somebody's time. You know, if it takes up my time, then it's, you know, at the highest pay scale in the library. So what we tried to do is we went back over our old strategic plan and pulled all the stuff that had not really gotten accomplished, or at least completely accomplished. And then we went through all the Oregon Library Association public library standards, and we pulled the things out of that we knew we weren't doing. And what we tried to do then was mash everything together under these like 4 or 5 categories and create some objectives so that we don't like start going through the standards at some point in time and you guys go, well, what about the staff development plan, Mo? You need one of those, you're not doing it. You know, how come that's not one of your goals? Well, so that's why I created the stabilize category of like, there's just some of that stuff that needs to get done, you know? So it turned out to be this kind of like heavy process of collating and like making things like squidge together, which is a technical term. I probably in the engineer's dictionary, squidge.
Squidge.
Yeah. It's an active verb, to squidge.
It's when you step on something at the construction site.
Yeah. So I mean, some of these are easier than others. And then like, for instance, the goal of training, well, you're gonna need training across all categories. So we kind of ended up repeating it, you know? So this is what we came up with. Some of the goals and some of the objectives and some of the activities may not be as like spot on as far as being under the right name, you know? Like we're creating things and we're like, oh, wait a minute, that's an activity, not an objective. Uh-oh, we need to change that, that kind of thing. And like you get better at this as you do more of it, right? And then Greg, this is like the third time his name has come up, he sent me a format today for a strategic plan that he wanted to propose to the directors that we look at for like Olive Link, which would be really great idea to think about a strategic plan for all of us, right? And I really, really like the format of what he sent. And so I'm thinking about like popping these into like a format like that, so everything would be just a little bit more crisp and clear. Because it's hard to like get through all this stuff, you know what I mean? It's like just blah after a while. And the reason it's all purple is because I was working with like color-coded stuff, like red was from the standards, green was from the old, you know, strategic plan, purple was like the new stuff, you know, so I just left it in purple, that's, sorry about that.
It's all in there.
Yeah, it's all,
Got it.
okay.
So, this is where we are. Any thoughts? Anything that seems wildly inappropriate
No, just a minor edit on the first thing.
on the first what?
Create young readers.
Yeah.
colon, Children from birth to age 5 will have programs and services designed to ensure that they will, so, okay, so have
So Dawn,
services
so
designed
Dawn,
to ensure.
Dawn, this is straight out of the book, I didn't write this.
That's what I'm saying, but we
I-
can still.
I have
we can
nothing to
still-
do
we
with
can still
that.
edit it, right?
You can edit away, but it's
That's what I'm trying to do.
straight out of the book.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So that was gonna be my question. I was pretty certain that the service response definition is what came from the framework that you're using.
Yeah.
So one question I had, I'll just leap in here on this one, which is create young readers with a focus on birth to age 5. The activities and your goals under that seem to be more upper age groups. So that those two things didn't kind of go together for me. So, I mean, we talked about schools, but if it's really birth to age 5, it's not schools, it's Head Starts and preschools and childcares and a different kind of.
Well, and so, Head Start is listed under one of
Yeah.
them.
Underserved areas.
But I'm thinking like your sign language for infants, that fit in there?
Well, yeah, that would fit in there, yeah. I know, I have a hard time when I'm thinking of young readers of just like, they don't stop at age 5,
Right.
obviously, right?
And so that's taken from the service response because
Yeah.
they want to focus on that age
They
group.
do,
but
yeah.
Maybe that isn't
Maybe we
really,
do need to modify it.
yeah,
Maybe we do need Dawn to edit it.
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I've had 2 words that's gonna take up, but yeah, okay.
The very last goal, the one about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, now that is
That is
very
good,
specifically focused on 0 to 5s.
Oh, it's-
Yeah,
What is the issue with service area versus city there? You have a question mark after service area.
yeah. It's a really good question, because the service area includes unincorporated area and, I think it depends on who we partner with and how much money we raise. It's gonna be a different number and it's gonna be a little bit harder to figure out the number of kids in our service area versus just in our city because the census and stuff it's like way easier to get the figures from the census as to the city ones and then the service area is like this random piece of, you know, I'll have to like beg the county to help me figure that out. But of course, it will be a lot more money that will be required. And what I'd like to do is just start with the city so that I can establish some, a successful track record. But I don't know if I can really do that. That's like everybody who comes into the library is like, they're welcome in the library and they're in our service area, you know? So we're gonna need partners for this one. And
Do you think there would be some sort of backlash if you started with the city and didn't include the service area from people in the service areas? Outside the city?
Yeah, I mean, like in Wilsonville, they're just doing Wilsonville, for instance.
But they're primary, their service area, I mean, we're like 50/50 if I remember correctly.
No, we're not 50/50.
I thought we were.
No, we're more like 2/3, 1/3.
Okay. That's hard to remember.
But still, yeah. I don't know what they are. I'd have to look. And Canby's doing it now too. But I can have those conversations with those library directors and just get some feedback on that and then kind of like marshal our resources and figure out what it would all look like. You know, like for instance, if the school district was our partner, well, their service area, the school district, looks a lot more like our service area. But like Optimus Club, I'm just making these up as potential partners. I don't know what they would support, but then, you know, whatever their portion is, it doesn't really matter, you know, because it's just another part of the pie that we're trying to create.
I just think, I wonder about the communication though. If you, I mean, I don't know even if you officially said it was only Oregon City, you know, there's a lot of people that still view themselves as Oregon City.
I
that
know,
would be
and
part of the
they're
service area.
outside of the city, yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it'd be a really difficult thing to do.
Yep. I don't disagree with you. And there could be some backlash, and that would be really uncomfortable, because that's not what we're doing it for. You know, we're doing it as a positive thing. Help as many people as possible, so.
And the question I had, because, you know, that was the challenge in strategic plans, is it, you always think about something new, where you have a lot of already ongoing. So it seems like you already have a very active, positive children's summer reading program. So I don't know if there should be something here, like just continue to build on that, or,
Right.
you know, acknowledge that, you know, you want to don't want to do just something new, but you've already got a very solid summer reading program.
Well,
that
and
engages-
story time program.
Yeah, so.
So that's a good idea.
And then another partnership is just because I happened to run into somebody somewhere, was the SMART program, which is in Oregon City schools. And so
Right.
it's either, I don't know whether, I mean, that might be a way to focus where you do with the schools. I mean, partnering with SMART program and schools are in, or maybe you partner in schools where SMART isn't in. I don't know. That's just, it seems like another opportunity, another partnership that maybe more about getting into schools because they're already there. They found their
Well,
way in.
they're already there. They're looking for, have you done SMART before?
I haven't done SMART before, but
Yeah, they're looking for individuals who just sit with
Right,
like
just sit-
one kid all
right.
year. So, I mean,
Wow.
I don't know how the library can help with that necessarily.
well, I don't think, so I'm not sure what the partnership would be, but I think it's just kind of, if there's a way to work together, or,
Because they're already in the schools.
because they're
You
already in
mean
the school.
one person becomes that student's personal mentor all year long?
They read to them once
They
a
read
week,
to
I
them.
think.
Once
Yeah.
a week?
Once a week,
Uh-huh.
once or twice a week, yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's like, you're assigned to a kid more or less. They don't, but there's like boundaries on it. They like, don't let you give gifts to the kids, I think, and stuff like that. Yeah, they don't
What-
want it to get weird.
What's the top end of the ages?
That's weird.
Third or fourth?
Yeah, I think it's like Head Start to third grade,
Okay, some smaller kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about reading, start making a reader today, so it's
Okay.
people reading with kids.
Yeah, and it's, you know.
Smart.
Start
You,
making a reader today.
Start making
That's
a
good.
meter today. Thank you.
That's good acronym.
so
It
but you
is,
have to
yeah.
get the parents' permission to do anything.
Yeah.
Well, they probably do have parents' permission. The school takes care of
Yeah.
that.
But how do you contact these people? How do you know who to contact?
What, through SMART? They're in the phone book, I think. There's like a regional person, they'll put you in touch with like person at the school who runs the program.
No, I'm talking about how do those people contact the families that have children?
But they're through, they work through a school.
Yeah,
but
they
if-
work
if-
through the teachers.
Teachers.
But
teachers
0 to
select-
5 years old is not going to be in school.
No, these are older kids. The SMART doesn't exist for younger kids.
Third grade.
It's like first, second, and third grade.
So the teacher would identify a student who
Who could use the
needs
extra
some
help.
help with reading, and
Yep.
then they hook up with somebody who wants to read to them. Okay.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah,
With them.
so yeah, the teacher does all that identification. So,
Teachers don't have enough to do.
Any other discussion on the first service response, which is about creating young readers? You'll get Don's edits, I'm sure.
No, it's just a couple words. Come on. Let's keep moving. Yeah. No big deal.
So then the second service response is about know your community.
right. So one of the things we heard at our stakeholder conversation was that we should have more community information. So Gina's already creating that upstairs, behind the reference desk.
This is like physical stuff.
Yeah,
right?
physical stuff.
I read that and I thought, we got a pretty good website now. Could we have a chunk of that in there, you know?
We could have links, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where people do their initial search to see if stuff's there, you know? But,
Well, it just depends. If people are in the library, then they're browsing physical stuff, so.
yeah, I understand that.
So that came from the stakeholders meeting, you say?
Yep.
Because I have to admit, my first reaction was, oh, information referral stuff goes out of date about as fast as you put it up. And, I mean, I think, so I was ambivalent because I understand why people want to use, you want the library to be a resource. On the other hand, it's not your unique skill. You know, there's a lot of places you can get information about community services. I don't know what that blend is.
Yeah, I know. There's a balance there. I don't think we have to have everything. Like, some people wanted us just to be like the end all of everything, and I don't think we can do that ever. But we can have some things. So Gina's focusing on civic, what else? I can't remember. But like having to do with elections and encouraging people to vote and that kind of stuff, you know? I can't remember what else she's doing.
Driving manuals.
I mean, the things that she gets asked for,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So people still ask for a lot of that stuff. But then one of my other things that I think I put on here is that what I also wanted to do is educate staff a little bit more on Oregon City resources. So I'm sending Gina and Denise to this program that the Chamber of Commerce is gonna do called Next Leaders. And it basically 1 day a month for like what, the next 9 months?
For 9
Starting in
months.
September. They'll be bringing in different business leaders and different people from like Department of Human Services and stuff like that, and just describe what's available in Oregon City and just talk about all that stuff. Which I think will be really good because, you know, we're like a commuter, you know, community where a lot of people who work here don't live here, and a lot of people who live here don't work here. So, you know, the information that some of my staff have is like, it's not particularly specialized, and you get in the library and you stay in the library all day. And sure, you can do a bunch of online research and everything, but it's not the same as actually going out and meeting people. There's still something to like having a network of people that you know their faces, which is why Rotary's been so good for me. But, you know, those opportunities for my staff are a little bit fewer and farther between. So I thought this was a really good program to get them, a couple of people vested in, especially Gina, who's like, you know, not, I mean, Denise lives in West Lynn, so she's got a little bit better. So that'll be starting in September. And then the goal after that is about training for people. Some of this comes from the standards, directly from the standards. They want the boards trained. They want everybody to have diversity training. We haven't done diversity training in the city of Oregon City since I've been here. Yeah,
How are you defining diversity?
well, that's one reason it didn't get done.
Okay, it's a kind of broad term,
Yeah,
encompasses everything.
I mean, yeah, and I think it can be defined a bunch of different ways, and I think you can have a bunch of different trainings. And that's
Yeah.
okay, but I think you start somewhere. And so we are sending Jen, who's one of the adult services people, to training on disability. And maybe how to help that population with their varied, very varied needs. But the good thing about that is that the person who is doing that training is a librarian, and she has her own disability that she's very used to having to cope with in the world, and her experience will be, I think, very enlightening for Jen. So we're trying to like start doing some of these things. There's no reason to wait, you know? And then the one after that, the meet people where they are, you know, explore convenient, safe places to better serve. And that would be the drop boxes or whatever else we can come up with, kiosk, whatever, just so that we can, like, at some point, focus out into the rest of our community a little bit, some services. And this is more physical than outreach.
One question is that when I read through those, some of them just seem like they're hard to evaluate if you're being successful or not. And I wondered how, I mean, is that going to be addressed later as when you get into those or?
Well, some of these are pretty easy, because like either you have trainings or you don't have trainings, or you create Dropbox sites, or you do something about, you know, that population that is not living around here, or you don't, you know? But, you know, I never let a lack of a measure keep me from pursuing any goal, I have to tell you, Nick.
I'm just writing too many grants. So,
I know.
They always
I
want to
mean,
know how you're
I
going to
think-
measure these things.
I think that that would be kind of the next step. I mean, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done on
That was
these.
just, when I looked at it, not that that's, I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying that it's not good to have it, but it's like, even with some of the current programs, you know, how do you evaluate if they're working in, you know,
Oh, yeah.
should you, like you were saying, like Pints from the Past, and it's a lot of effort, you know, how do you assess that and decide if you're going to carry something forward?
Yeah, we could use better criteria for that, honestly, because it's kind of like, wow, this is so much work. I'm really getting tired of this. Let's stop doing it, you know? As opposed to like really thinking about it in a,
The time to do that is before you begin the activity, not when you say, I need some reason to quit.
yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, that, all these need to be looked at. You know, these are all draft anyway, but, this was like as much effort as we could give this right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got the very
Yeah.
best of us for this part. That was as much as we could do. We were like just killing ourselves to get this far.
I think you did a lot,
Huh?
and you did a lot.
Thank
So,
you.
Is there a deadline on all this stuff?
Well, no, but I mean, our existing, strategic plan goes through 2018. So I mean, it's coming up on the end of it, you know?
Right.
It's just good timing to wrap it up this fall, I think. That would be my goal,
Well,
get it
I
wrapped
mean,
up.
we're getting this far this early, and then we got some time now to finish it up, you know?
Because I think the foundation is somewhat kind of waiting to see
Well, that's the thing, they are.
where, so that, because it would help them refocus,
They could pick up,
yeah, a
cherry pick this thing
fundraising,
and
a
come up with some
fundraising
money,
effort,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, they definitely could pick out a few things out of here.
yeah.
I mean, I could tell them very specifically what I would like their support in.
Sure.
Yeah.
So anything else on the service response 2, which is about know your community? Okay, when we move on to 3, which is stimulate imagination. We didn't ignite it here, we're just stimulating. That's good.
Excellent.
And this is, again, the definition from the manual or framework you're using about reading, viewing, and listening for pleasure.
I think that first objective under the first goal there, increasing community awareness of programs and resources. Objective, investigate how people get their information about community events, including library events and programs. Speaking as an old newspaper man, we don't really have a local newspaper that comes out, you know, on a regular basis. And we're certainly not the darling of the TV stations. Maybe we'll get a mention if something bad goes wrong, but other than that, people are pretty much out there floating in Never Never Land as far as these things are going. And it's mostly word of mouth, I'm thinking. That's my guess.
I think a lot of it is, Facebook,
Yeah,
stuff
Social
like
media.
word of mouth, Facebook, you
Yep.
know, specific Facebook accounts like Oregon City Chit Chat.
Your emails
Yeah.
were pretty effective.
But what this objective says to me is that's what you want to figure out, how people are. 'cause you
Exactly.
Decide
So
whether
what
you're
this
really
means is we need to
marketing.
like put together a small survey and start asking everybody we know.
the second part of my statement is, once we find out how people are getting their information, the other question to ask on that is this how they prefer to get their information? Some people just hate to go on Facebook and get stuff.
Yeah.
It's called hate book these days.
Hate
So,
book, yeah.
so, I think think that's in there someplace.
Thank you.
Good point. So how they are and how they would like to.
Well, they have to, and then how they would like to. I mean, that's kind of the way I see that.
And the city is putting out, the first survey that they've done in a long time and, very soon. And that question might be on there too. The city now has a communications coordinator, which is really, really nice. So that's the kind of person we now have access to help us with things like this, which is great. And she's fabulous.
When you say the welcome brochures, that's to the library, right?
Yeah,
Okay, not to Oregon City and all that.
no, to the
Okay.
library. It doesn't exist, but it will exist.
Uh-huh. That could be valuable. That's a very direct thing you could do, yeah.
Really minor point. I think the second and third activities should be inverted.
Under which objective?
Under increase our likes or followers on social networks.
Oh, okay.
Because you're adding something in new packets before you're creating the new packets, that's all.
Yep.
Not this one.
You can see down, there's some of my activities, I like got past even writing full sentences.
Yeah. I thought about that. So I don't know what that means, but
Sorry.
that's
Is this where you
okay.
slump
That's
over your
that
keyboard and
first,
fell
you know,
asleep?
it's that first draft, like,
Yeah, I was like, it's just a draft, jeez, they'll be okay.
well, I mean, I think, I think probably the key thing here by keeping the collection current is you don't know what the next format is. I mean, that's part of it, it's staying abreast of
Yeah.
what is the next format. While balancing that with your community that may not be at that next format, there's some of us are back here and like, I
Oh,
just want a
sure,
hard
of
copy
course,
book.
yeah, yep. Well, but we're really used to that, so, I mean, we kept, video cassettes around way longer than we needed to because there was a whole population that could only listen to video cassettes or, tape cassettes, I'm sorry, in their cars,
Yeah,
right?
Right.
Or they had a VCR at home and they hadn't got a DVD player yet, so like, please, please, please don't get rid of the video cassettes. So at the same time, we have, Blu-rays coming in and all that stuff, so we're really used to juggling multiple formats and there's always that, like, transition time, which could be years, And I think you're seeing that with streaming, and digital. But we're still gonna have books,
I was horrified to find that the new automobiles don't include CD players in the
Oh,
stereos.
really?
Just supposed to hook up your smartphone to
Is
it.
it all supposed to be
Yeah.
streaming now? Is that what it is?
USB port or, hook up your.
Satellite radio.
Bluetooth?
Just Bluetooth from your.
I
Well,
still
my
like my
car's
CD
old-fashioned.
audiobooks.
Mine's very old
Yeah.
Mine
fashioned.
has a tape deck and a CD player. You can do that.
And I appreciate the occasional classes, so for Rose, is that, what is that? I don't know how that
Include
works.
what?
Having, like, you
Basement.
continue to do the classes that explain what some of these things are,
Oh, yeah.
for those of us who are.
Actually, we'll be even doing more of that, just because we now will have laptops for checkout in the library. And so Gina and Jen in the adult services are gonna be doing a whole bunch more classes, technology classes, which will be really nice. Ken, you have a question?
Yeah, pardon my ignorance, but what in the world is a canopy?
Oh, Canopy is a new streaming film service. So it's offered in a way where the library pays for it and you get 5 free views a month. And then once you're done, you just don't get any more. And it's each library card. That is
Oh, cool.
our Oregon City Library cards. So they've got all that information of how to authenticate it and all that stuff. So you sign up for the Canopy, you sign up for an account, and then it goes through your library card. And the link is on on the webpage, library webpage. And they started, they're a great service because they started as an academic service. They mostly helped colleges and universities. And so they've got this great documentary collection, huge documentary collection. And then they started adding feature films and stuff like that. So you can go online. Huh?
A lot of independent
A lot of
movies
in-
or
Yeah,
foreign movies, things that are not available
Yeah.
on Netflix or
Right.
anywhere else.
have you been using it?
5 a
I-
month.
I've-
you get
Five a month.
Yeah, it's a very impressive collection. Things I probably never would have even heard of before.
Right, yeah. So that's what that is. It's just Canopy, but they're trying to be unique and different by starting it with a K.
Okay.
And we're,
Trademarkable.
huh?
It's trademarkable.
Yeah. We're the first, Clackamas County Library to offer Canopy. Lake Oswego has it, but they started after us.
It's too bad there's so few
Not that we
lines.
Like Oswego.
Yeah,
I know, right? Always.
yeah. So any other comments on service response 3, stimulating imagination?
My car has both a DVD player and a tape player. He's man.
We won't ask about the age. So service response 4 is to visit comfortable place, both physical and virtual spaces.
I think we've achieved some of that.
Right now, we're just exploring it.
So it's mostly about exploring about ways to expand and then how to be more adaptive. Which seems very. Any comments on service response 4? Anyone?
Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, exploring having a counter inside of a store. I think that's a great idea.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because Danielson's up here used to have an auxiliary post office that was just jammed with people all the time. They would prefer to go to Danielson's rather than go to the post office, you know. And then they had, well, Danielson's went out of business, but I always went there. It was more convenient to go to the post office, and that would be great.
I always thought it would be a great idea if you could have like a counter service where people could pick up their holds without having to come down to the library.
Right.
Like somewhere along 213, and it could be open from like 4 to 7 every night or something like that. Or if people are like going home from work and they could just pop in and get their holds. It could be a different holds location and everything. You could just, like, staffing something for 3 hours wouldn't be too bad, you know?
Yeah. Sort of on
You
top
could
of
have
the
things
hill.
for sale there, merchandise,
You could
library
have
merchandise.
merchandise.
T-shirts.
Buy a book.
Oh, yeah, we actually are creating some T-shirts that we might end up selling.
Really?
Yeah, Gina came up with this logo for the local authors fair, and it's called Read Local. And the OC in local is like a different color print. It's red instead of whatever, right? OC, get it?
Yeah.
And I mean, I just love that. Read local, and it's got OC in it, highlighted. It's like genius, you know?
Yeah.
So we're getting some staff shirts made of that, and then it might, you know, it might take off. It might go viral.
Yeah,
Guys might have to have each your own shirt.
T-shirt, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good idea.
I could give them out for Christmas.
You could. See?
And maybe you could.
There we go. There we go.
You know, from the
And just
rental-
like that, the library became a,
Yeah.
a money-making
That's
operation.
right. Then we'll have coffee mugs.
Yeah, there you go.
Water bottles, and go
local.
on and on.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on 4? We'll move on to the,
Well, I think there's an important one that nobody's mentioning. This is the elephant in the room. Figure out how to pay for more hours, staff building.
The one at the bottom.
that's the additional goal area, in the additional goal area.
I guess.
Yeah.
Explore expanding hours.
Well, I tend to agree with you. It's the elephant in the room. As we have gone through these things and we've seen how busy we are this summer, it's become wildly apparent to us that we need more staff.
Yeah.
And how that is accomplished, We don't yet know. The thing that is kind of helping us is that all throughout Clackamas County, library directors are running into the same problem. And part of it is that the rate per thousand that the district gets is not enough. It's not high enough. So it passed, which is the good thing, but it was never really like, doesn't have enough room for a lot of growth is the problem. And so I think that at LDAC, you will see one of the conversations in the future come up of actually, I think what we have to do is put the existing, if we decide to go this direction, we'd have to put the existing district to bed and then create a new district at a higher rate. I don't think you can, I don't know. Somebody said that. I know. I don't know the legal, that seemed crazy to me too. I don't know why you just couldn't raise the rates. But, because I think it's like a permanent rate or some such thing and the language was weird. But anyway, it's just not high enough to support the level of staff that we need. So, and that's not the kind of thing like that the foundation typically, maybe they could support like one position or something. It's not gonna go a real long ways. And that I prefer that they not support things like that. So yeah, we're gonna have to get that figured out in the future.
Would they have to, this would be like a voter thing, right?
It would be a huge, huge voter thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'd be years in the making.
dear me.
I think the crisis will come before then.
Yeah,
Although if I retire, the crisis lessens, because then we get somebody in there that doesn't cost as much. So I'm all
Not
for
too
it, man.
Problem solved.
Problem solved, yeah, huge cushion.
jeez.
Just have to leave.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, I think funding is always an issue, and you're right, when you have a tax rate, it doesn't kind of change it. But going for it at the district level, I think makes much more sense
It
than
would
get
be
any
like,
response?
city by city.
Did you get any response from your, I think it's Facebook call for, we're hiring?
oh yeah, we've had 32 people apply,
All right,
yeah. And we have like new volunteers coming in all the time now.
very good,
It's great.
good.
It's fantastic. So kind of once we opened that up to people, they really responded well. Except now I need like a full-time volunteer coordinator,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's just it, You can have volunteers do quite a bit. Like if we had drop boxes, that would be a volunteer thing. That would be perfect for a volunteer thing. But, somebody needs to coordinate all volunteers. And it takes a lot more time than you'd think, so.
Do you need the volunteer coordinator?
Yeah, I tried that before and it did not work out at all. But anyway, it's possible.
So these were all in the additional goal area that makes sense. These are kind of about stabilizing infrastructure and kind of that you need to be able to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments in general on the overall goals and objectives?
This looks good to me, I like it.
I have
Yeah.
a question on
Okay,
a
thanks.
definition, adaptive technology, what is that?
That's typically something that would be used by a person with a visual handicap or some other
Right, got
thing
it.
like that. Yeah,
Part of diversity, all right, got it.
yeah. Well, how about if I, see if we can kind of clean these up a little bit and maybe put it into a different format that's more readable and maybe also come up with some measures.
Yeah. I think you're
Okay.
darn close,
Yeah.
really do.
All right.
And so the staff involvement here, have you run these, I assume you've been,
Well, actually, I haven't, because they were involved in a lot of the other stuff, so, I ran a bunch of these, Creating Young Readers stuff by Barrett, and she's like, yep, that all sounds like what we're doing, so, but I mean, that's a really good point, is like, it's Create Young Readers, but like, the 0 to 5 just doesn't cover it, maybe I'll just change that. Because I think younger is longer than that. But you like up to 8 or 9
Yeah.
or something.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that seems okay to me. I mean, I think it's, what group do you think you want to focus on? I mean, or what group do we think we should be focusing on? I think 0 to 8 probably seems reasonable.
So is that a juvenile? The
I think
definition.
it's still a young reader.
We have different terminology that we use.
Yeah, juvenile is like, it could be any number of things,
A
you
youth.
know? Yeah, youth goes up to like 18, actually.
Whatever covers the.
At my age, used is up to
Yeah.
35.
Yeah. Okay, well, let us work on a few of those things and get back to you next month.
Okay.
A nice 40-year-old woman.
I did like the fact that it covered a lot of, well, the outreach, which I know we talked a lot about, and several of the other things, like trying to work with the schools and that type of thing. I mean, those are all in there as actions, and
Yeah,
that's really good.
well, for instance, like next year, Barrett's gonna try and get every first grade class to come for a field trip. But I mean, that is assuming that they can do a field trip to get to the library. You know, schools have limited resources too,
Right.
so. But she's been, she and Sabrina have been going to more schools too, so
You can make it virtual.
could.
Okay. Moving on to our next agenda item will probably be fast, that's public comments. No public to comment. So we'll move on to then communications, which is the kind of reporting for people that are at things. So I don't, Ken, was there a Friends meeting?
No, there wasn't.
Okay, that went fast. There has not been a foundation meeting till next week. LDAC.
Hasn't met since
No.
for a couple months.
Summer
now.
doldrum.
We won't meet,
September.
LDAC won't meet until September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that made that.
Well, although I did go to a subcommittee meeting of LDAC, and it was on the annual report that they want us to do from here on out. We had a big discussion about that. So it will kind of pull from the state report, which is due October 1st, so I'll be working on that this coming month. And I will bring to you in September. That's awfully soon. I will try to get that to you in September, because I think it's good for you guys to see that before I submit it, if possible. Besides, it's kind of interesting, putting all that stuff together. But what's even more interesting is going in later and then looking at us compared to other libraries.
That's
you know?
exactly what I was thinking today when I was going through the
It's so
stats.
interesting,
It's like,
yeah.
I wonder how other libraries look compared to us, like, because it's really hard. You have one reference point, and we're looking at it over time, but
Right,
like you're saying,
exactly.
comparison.
So
would be
the state
interesting.
statistics are fascinating, and you can go back years and years and years, and I'll include that in what I send you next time. So you wouldn't be able to look at statistics from this year from people, but you could look at them from last year. And you can, you can see right where we are stacked up as far as size and everything. So it's pretty interesting, if you like that kind of stuff, which I know you do.
Some of us do, yeah. Just comment, everybody saw on your placemat there was the thing about the volunteer recognition party, August 23rd at the part of the concerts. So anything you want to say about that? Just,
Do we get a letter sweater like that? Do we get a letter sweater like that?
I wish. So this is a parking pass as well.
okay, so
So
this is.
on
this
one side is the
important.
parking pass, and then this does have like, take a look at this, because it's got instructions on what you're supposed to do to get your free dinner and everything. And I'll be there, so I'll be looking for you.
Okay, great. Hopefully everybody can come. So future agenda items for the September meeting will continue on the goals and objectives, the next sort of draft, and then the LDAC annual report.
State report.
State report, excuse
Yeah.
me. State report. Thank you, state report.
I know, so many reports.
And then anything else that comes up between now and then at various groups that might meet. Okay, anything else for meeting today?
Stay cool.
Yeah, stay cool.
Sorry you have to leave.
That's right. Your library is always a cool place to be.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people hanging out there.
That's right. Meeting adjourned at 6:09.